Hey guys, I have not done a video like this before, but we're gonna pretend that I know what I'm doing. We're determining the draft order for the Rocker Hockey League, our Fantasy Dynasty League. First, I'm just gonna show you all the jerseys. You guys have already seen these, but let's go look at them again. First, we have my team, the Alaska Bretts. You can see the top three guys there too. These are obviously styled after the current Florida Panthers. I didn't do alternate jerseys because that seemed like just a little bit too much work. Then we have the Boston Cassidys. I bet you can tell which team this is modeled after. It's the Boston Bruins. Then we have the Carolina Amandas, modeled after the Carolina Hurricanes, current home and away uniforms. Then we have the Chicago Johns. These are modeled after the Chicago Blackhawks. They're one of the couple teams that their home and away is slightly different. Then we have the Dallas Ethans. This is another one. Their home and away have completely different striping. This is obviously after the Dallas Stars. Then we have the Denver Brandos. Brandon specifically wanted it to be Brandos and not Brandons. These are the Colorado Avalanche style jerseys. Then we have the Florida Shelbys. Her favorite team is the Red Wings, so these are modeled after Detroit. Then we have the Greenville Nolans. These are modeled after his favorite team, the Nashville Predators. Then we have the Las Vegas Jarretts. This is just the Vegas home and away, not the gold version, because we all know the gray looks way better. Then we have the Miami Michaels. Since my dad's favorite team is also the Panthers, I tried my best to do the 90s Panther era style jerseys. The away is pretty much exactly the same. The home was difficult to make it look, especially because it has these like sharp edges here, and there's no jersey in here that looks like that. So this is the closest I can do. We have the New York Sams. This is modeled after the New York Rangers. And you're already starting to see that everyone has Connor McDavid and David Pastrnak. Pretty much every team has those two guys. Then we have the Pittsburgh Tysons. He specifically requested the powder blue Penguins jersey, so there's that, and that's just their regular away. This is the one team that does not have Connor McDavid. It's the Puerto Rico Samuels. He wanted the Vegas Reverse Retro 1.0, but with this the national team for Puerto Rico, they had a hockey jersey and they had those like stripes going down the edge here. So I just found a jersey that did that. Put this together. The away is all about the same, but with more gray instead of red. Then we have the Tampa Bay Denvilles, and it's clearly the Tampa Bay Lightning. This was one of the easiest ones to put together. They do not have a lot going on their jersey. Just had to find the Lightning pants. And so that's all our team's jerseys. So now we're going to look at the lineups. Let's start with my team again. One of the unique players, that's what I'm going to you're going to see there's a lot of the same players. So I'm going to notice the unique ones. Almost everyone has Kaprizov. Everyone has McDavid. Everyone has Pastrnak. I went with Mitchell Marner over Austin Matthews. Jack Hughes isn't on a lot of teams. I obviously picked Barkov. A lot of you guys did Matthew Tkachuk for the Panthers. I went with Tage Thompson. Not a lot of other guys went with him, but I picked him. And then Sebastian Aho. Not a lot of people went with him. And I know I complain about Jonathan Huberdeau, but he's going to be my fourth line left wing. On defense, the only person that's on here that's not a lot of other teams, Victor Hedman. I'm the only one who picked Victor Hedman. Everyone else either picked Kucherov or Vasilevsky. Not a lot of people picked Adam Fox either. I went with Erik Karlsson rather than having Sidney Crosby, just to have an all 90 overall defense. For my goalies, I have Sorokin and Hellebuck, and a couple of you guys are already like, that was my 2 goalies. This is the most popular tandem right here of Sorokin and Hellebuck. Let's go to Cass's team. So he picked Panarin. That's a unique one. Not a lot of people had Panarin. I forgot to mention Ovechkin. Almost everyone has Ovechkin. A lot of guys have Jason Robertson. You can see he's got Matthews and Crosby. Hughes, Huberdeau, very similar to my lineup, just without Barkov, without Aho and Thompson. For defense, he's got Josi Makar, Dahlin, Peter Angelo. Not a lot of people picked him. Doughty, well, fairly common. A lot of you guys picked Quinn Hughes. I think he's on almost every lineup. For goalies, he's got Sorokin and Hellebuck. For Amanda, her team actually came out as a 100 overall. A lot of you guys, it's a 99 overall, but Amanda's is 100. She can see Kaprizov, McDavid. She picked Patrick Kane. We have a few Patrick Kanes, not a ton. DeBrincat was also not a very popular choice, but a few guys picked him. McKinnon, she was one of the only people to pick McKinnon over Makar. Like, everyone has Makar, but she picked McKinnon. You can see Huberdeau on this 4th line again. Mark Stone, a couple of you guys have him. Svechnikov, also not a lot of you guys have him. For defense, we got Josi. Dookie Hamilton's on a couple of you guys' team. Aaron Ekblad. I thought this was an interesting choice for you guys who picked him. Kachuk and Barkov, far superior in this game, but whatever. Miro Heiskanen, he's on a couple of you guys' team. For goalies, this is, I think, why it's a 100 overall, because Vasilevsky is a 94 versus you've got the guys who have Sorokin and Hellebuck. They're both 91s. You can see Vasilevsky here's a 94, Shesterkin 92. Let's go to John's team. This one had a couple unique ones. First, he's the only person who's got Connor Bedard. I was kind of glad to let me put him on this team because he's 17 in this game, and sometimes it's weird about underage players, but let me put him on there, so cool. Jack Eichel on that 4th line center. There's a couple other guys who got Jack Eichel. Then he's the only one with Brady Kachuk. So he's got the 2 Kachuk brothers here on the left wings of the bottom 2 lines. Very similar, nothing weird. He's the only guy with Zach Werenski, though. And then at goalies, we got Hellebuck and Ottinger. Only guy with Ottinger in his net. Let's go to Ethan's team. He's got Huberdeau, McDavid, Kane. You can see a lot of similarities here. DeBrincat, Aho, Johnny Gaudreau, one of the rare picks for this thing we're doing. Another guy who picked Ekblad, but all the rest of these guys you've seen here before: Josi, Makar, Heiskanen, Dahlin. Dahlin, I didn't mention him yet. A lot of you guys went with Dahlin. I went with Tage Thompson, but a lot of you guys picked Dahlin from the Sabres. He's got the same as Amanda, Vasilevsky, and Shesterkin. For Brandon's team, very similar to me and Cass's team. He's just got Eichel and Svechnikov on that 4th line. That's the major difference. And obviously Crosby instead of Barkov because he's got Kachuk. Not a lot of difference here. All guys we've seen before here on the defense. For goalies, Hellebuck and Sorokin. For Shelby's team, this is the most unique lineup because she just picked players that she knew and liked their names. On her defense, she went with everyone who has A as their first name. So we got Philip Forsberg, Connor McDavid, because she said everyone's going to have Connor McDavid. Samuel doesn't, but we got Riley Smith, Seth Jarvis, Troy Terry, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Beauvillier, Vincent Trocheck, TJ Oshie, Marchenko, Cole Perfetti, and Tyson Forrester. On defense, you can see all these guys have A names: Adam Pelech, Peter Angelo, Aaron Ekblad, Alec Goligoski. I just found this guy for Alex Vlasic. I can't remember which team he was on. It was one of the teams that she didn't have a player for, though. And Adam Larson. For goalie, she does have Vasilevsky and Vanacek backing him up. Then for Nolan's team, this one's also very similar to like a lot of the other ones. The only unique one right here, this is his favorite player, Victor Arvidsson. But all the rest of this stuff is all players we've seen before right here. On his defense, we got Heiskin and McCarr. Adam Fox, and he's one of the few guys who picked Jacob Slavin. It's just because he's a lower overall in this game. Still a great player, though. And guess who we got in goal? Connor Hellbuck and Sorokin. Then we have Jarrett's team. A lot of similar guys here. He has Elias Peterson. Like I said, a lot of you guys pick Quinn Hughes, so he's one of the few guys with Elias Peterson. Jack Eichel's down here, but the rest is all fairly similar to the rest of them. He picked Brent Burns down here, so he's the only guy with Brent Burns. No X factors, so that might be an issue. We will find out. For goalies, we got Vasilevsky and Hellebuck, just because he didn't have Hedman or Kucherov. For my dad's team, Nolan really helped put this team together for him. Just some insider information. He's the only guy with Dylan Larkin. He also has Tage Thompson, Mitchell Marner instead of Matthews. He also has Elias Peterson. Brady Tkachuk, oh sorry, he's also on this team. So this one has the Tkachuk brothers here. On defense, we got Mackenzie Weegar. My dad used to have a favorite player on the Panthers. His name was Mike Weaver. He's not in this game. He's been retired for a while, so closest to it, Mackenzie Weegar. Oh, Josh Morrissey. I think he's going with Josh Morrissey. At goal, we got Shesterkin and Sorokin. For Sam's team, we got a lot of the same guys. He's one of the few guys with DeBrincat and Svechnikov. Everyone else, very similar lineups here. On defense, we got all the normal guys here. Peter Angelo is probably the most unique one, but even he's on quite a few. And then Shesterkin and Sorokin, just like our last team. For Tyson's team, we got Kaprizov, McDavid, Pasternak. You can see the similarities. He's one of the only other guys who picked Barkov on his team. He's the only guy with Zibanejad and Buchnevich and Mark Scheifele. Those are all three unique to his team right there. He's the only guy with Chris Letang and Mohit Seider. So Tyson's got quite a few unique players. We'll see if that benefits him. Then he's got Vasilevsky and Net with Sorokin backing him up. All right, down to two more teams. We got Sam Ayel's team. His is also very unique. Not as unique as Shelby's, but pretty close. He's the only guy with Draisaitl. Only one who went with him over McDavid. We got Kyle Connor, Alex Tuck, Brock Nelson, only guy with Tarasenko, Nick Suzuki. So top players still, but not a lot of you guys pick them. On defense, all guys you guys have picked. Picking Aaron Ekblad over Tkachuk and Barkov is the most questionable for me every time. At goalie, we got Vasilevsky, and because he's a Vegas guy, Marc-Andre Fleury as his backup. Last team, the Tampa Bay Denvils. He told me earlier today that he was figuring this lineup while he was on the road. But a lot of the same guys the rest of you guys have. DeBrincat, Gaudreau, a couple of guys who are on a lot of teams. He's one of the few other guys with me who's got Sebastian Aho. He also has Tarasenko. I forgot about that. On defense, a lot of the same guys. He's the only one with Morgan Riley, but he's still got X factors, 88 overall. So a solid player. And goalies, Shesterkin, he's the only one with John Gibson. I'm surprised this guy still has X factors in this game. His stats are not good, but they gave him some X factors. So that's it for our lineups. Let's load up into the sim. Now we got all the teams substituted in for the 14 SHL teams. You can actually see that Ethan's team is also 100 overall, along with Amanda's. Everyone else is 99, except for Shelby, who's a 93, and Denville, who's a 98. But it's all really close. I won't tell you who won the two sims I did of this. Just so I don't want you to get the expectation of like, oh, well, what if that one counted? Well, it wouldn't have because not all the teams were uploaded yet. But Anyways, the standings were like almost completely flipped the two sims I did, so it could go anyway. This is the only one that's gonna have all 14 teams, so I'm expecting it to have completely different results. I'm gonna select all the teams here because we're gonna go into games when we get into the playoffs, and we can't do that unless we have control of all 14 teams. And that's also so they don't try to trade players or release people or edit the lines. We're going to make a couple of things. We're going to make sure we turn injuries off. We're going to make the season tiebreak not authentic to the SHL, but we're going to make it like the NHL, 5 minutes, then 3-on-3 shootout. We're not going to see any of that, but at least it will know that that's what's happening in the simulation. For the playoffs, we'll have continuous OT. For the playoff series length, I've been doing 5 best of 5. I think that's been a good format. The first round is the 4 bottom teams that make the playoffs. So 6th through 10th place, or sorry, 7th through 10th place. The first top 6 teams all get a bye, and lastly, the bottom 4 teams are eliminated, and that will reveal who are getting the 14th, 13th, 12th, and 11th pick, and then the rest will be determined in the playoffs. We're going to make the head coach not at the lines. We do want them to rotate the goalies, though. We can turn all this off. It's not going to matter, but we're going to turn it off anyway. I didn't see injuries in there. Make sure we can find that. I found that semi-pro, when I was testing the sim, gave me the most favorable results. If you put it on any higher and you're doing a CPU versus CPU, it's basically just a lot of guys turning the puck over to each other, and it's not very fun to watch. We obviously want full control. There's no CPU trades. Still not seeing injuries. I know you can turn it off because I've done it before. Is it in rules? There it is. No injuries. The rest of this is how I normally play the game. We're going to turn off fighting, though. We don't need fighting. And that's about it. We're going to jump right in here. Let's go. All right, so the way I'm going to do this is simulate through, there's like a couple breaks in the SHL season. You can see there's a break right here. There's a break right here. There's a 2-week break somewhere. And that's like the halfway point. So we're going to sim through half the season, see which teams are at the top of the standings, see who's leading in points, and then we will simulate to the end. All right, so we are at the halfway point of the season. You can see most teams have played around 25 games, a couple of 26, a couple of 24, but it's the Denver Brandos in first place right now, just barely with 4 points ahead. Something I should explain real quick as we're looking at this. Wins are 3 points, losses 0, OT wins 2 points, OT losses 1 point. So if you're trying to do the math in your head and it's not adding up, because in the NHL, this would be 17-8. So that would be 17 times 2. Can't do that math in my head right now for whatever reason. But don't worry about it. That's why it's set up like this, because that's the SHL and you can't change how they record the points. We got Boston Casties at 2nd, Alaska Bretts at 3rd, the Gamandas at 4th, the Michaels at 5th, the Johns 6th, Dallas Ethans at 7th, the Samuels at 8th, the Nolans at 9th, and the Tysons at 10th. So that means the Jarretts, Sams, Denvilles, and Shelbys are currently sitting at the bottom. And I will say, unfortunately, Shelby, you normally were at the bottom of these simulations for all the ones I tested. The top changed around quite a bit, but I will be honest, I'm not too surprised with the teams that are up here, considering the overalls of the teams. All right, let's see who's leading the league in points. So who's leading the league in points? You can see right there, that's Nikita Kucherov for Cass's team with 31 points. A couple McDavids from the Brandos and Tysons there. Some Austin Matthews. He actually did not do too well in my sims for any of the teams, so kind of surprised to see him up here. You can see the Amandas and the Casses, Austin Matthews, are doing the best. Ovechkin, only 9 goals here for the Brandos. Let's see if Kucherov with that 16 is leading in goals. No, the Brandos, Connor McDavid with 17 is at the top of that list. I don't know if you guys care about the rest. Who's leading in penalty minutes? It's Matthew Tkachuk for Cass's team. There's no other Matthew Tkachuk here. Just this one. Let's see how the goalie stats. This has normally been wild. So right now, as Brandon's team's on top, that means his Ilya Sorokin is leading. Let's see who's got the best save percentage. It's John Gibson for Denville's team. And he's playing the backup role. Only 1 in 4 despite having the best save percentage. And it looks like the best goals against average as well. Yep. Who's got the worst? Shelby's backup, Vanacek. Ooh, my Hellebuck is not doing good. 4.16, that's terrible. Ethan Shesterkin really not doing well. Couple Vasilevskis up here. Oof. All right, let's simulate to the end of the season and see who's at top, who's at the bottom. So here we are. This is the final standings. Everyone's played 52 games. That's how many games they play in the SHL against each other. And you can see Brandos, they stayed at the top the whole time. The team that took the biggest drop is my team, the Alaska Brets. They're down there at 8th. But let's go through each one. The Brandos, the Cassidys, they stayed up there at 2nd. Ethan shot up. The Tyson shot up. The John stayed right around where they were at. The Nolans went up there. Samaels, they ended up here. Kind of surprised about that. His team was a little bit weaker, but look, they got it done. They'll be in the wild card round. That's one important thing to write here. The wild card round is right here. Puerto Rico Samuels versus Tampa Bay Denvils. They were in the bottom 4. They pushed up into the playoffs. And we got the Jarretts and the Bretts who will be facing off in that other wild card matchup. So our bottom 4 teams. So your draft position has been decided right here. The Florida Shelbys will be picking 14th. Unfortunately, the Carolina Mandas, a 100 overall team, they finished second last. They'll be drafting 13th. We got the New York Sams, unfortunately, at 12th. And the Miami Michaels missing out by 2 points there on that 10th place spot to pick 11th. And just to remind you, you guys probably already know this, but in a serpentine draft, this means you'll get to pick 2 times in a row, the 14th and the 15th. Amanda will get the 13th and the 16th, and so on and so forth. So it's not always the worst position, but you guys' teams did not perform as well in this simulation, unfortunately. So now we're going to get into the playoffs.